Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate that. Today, we're going to cover a lot of topics, and so we're excited to just jump right in there. My name is David Moyer. I am the head of product at pre-construction at Sage, and I have been in this industry for over 30 years. I'm going to give my age away a little bit. I started working with Timberline software back in 1989. Was part of the acquisition when Sage bought Timberline, and that was a great transition. They've done a great job with the Timberline products. Went off and did some business development work for a company called On Center Software, which some of you guys may know. Then went on to work for another large company called Trimble Navigation, where I was in charge of their software development, or software sales and some of their development. The reason for me talking about that is that I just want to let you know that I've had an opportunity and the pleasure of automating thousands of customers and their estimating processes and so forth. And so being back at Sage after a few years back, I'm absolutely thrilled to be back here. This is where my heart is anyway. I thought as an introduction to this presentation, I would open up an email that I got back in November. I think it kind of states my goals, my aspirations, and I also think it tells a great history of what Sage has done with the estimating product. This is a gentleman by the name of Gary Clifford, and I was very fortunate to help him with his automation back in the day. He says he was just retiring, and they had asked him if he wanted to renew his software, and this is his email verbatim. He says, "Unfortunately, I will no longer require Sage estimating. So I have officially retired from work. After 35 years of using Timberline estimating, Sage estimating, I really hate to give up the use of your software. I first used the DOS version of the software way back in approximately 1990, enjoyed the upgrades and newer versions of the softwares as years went by. So as of November 7th, 2025, I will cease using the software. Thank you." And I thought that was great. This was forwarded to me from the renewal rep. But then the next little piece of this was something that made my heart kind of happy. He said, "Is David Moyer still involved in Sage estimating, in the Sage company?" David was a gentleman I contacted when the company I was working for, Shelter Industries, wanted the estimating program to use modular building industry way back when Timberline estimating was the DOS-based program. I just wanted to contact him to say hello and thank him for helping to get Shelter Industries set up using that your awesome Sage software. Over the years, Sage estimating was used to provide estimates for Shelter Industry, Shelter Modular, Fort Modular, Norco Modular, and with the last two companies, I purchased a license for Sage estimating work from home to provide estimates for them, if possible. And if he's still involved with Sage, could you forward this email to David? Thank you, David." Now, the reason why I say that is not to pat myself on the back, but just to point out that this is what Sage does. And the fact is that we have customers that go from one platform to the other. This is not our first rodeo, okay? There was actually a platform even before Gary jumped on. It was called AccuBid Estimating. And one of the things that we pride ourselves in is making sure that we're supporting customers for life, okay? We have gone from estimating on a mini computer to where Gary started with precision estimating, which was a DOS product, and then carried on into the Sage estimating. We are now working on our 4th generation of estimating, which will be Sage Cloud Estimating. We'll talk a little bit about that. And this is where we're introducing the AI machine learning aspects of estimating. To kind of give you a background of where this all came about, I was part of a partnership with a gentleman by the name of Steve Watt, who created a product called Bridgetown Software. Bridgetown Software created a foundational piece to create an estimating software on. We then created an application on top of that called BidMatrix to really exercise that platform. And then Sage came and acquired us. And this is now going to be the foundation going forward for the next generation of Sage estimating. So what is Sage estimating? Well, number one, it's estimating, which is more, when I talk about estimating, I want to really draw it down to, it's a spreadsheet-based estimating. A lot of systems out there want to recreate estimating, but they don't realize that the spreadsheet is where an estimator lives. It's that rich analysis and sorting and changing numbers, that estimating, that rich piece of the spreadsheet is really, really key. It also, Sage Estimating has a bid analysis, which we'll talk a little bit about here as well, in the BidMatrix product. And then of course, a second to none takeoff tool called eTakeoff. Now, why do people select Sage Estimating? Number one is for accuracy. You would assume it'd be accurate, right? A lot of people think, well, their Excel spreadsheets are accurate as well, but studies have shown that 80 to 85% of all spreadsheets have errors in them. And when you're talking about construction costs and bidding software, those are errors you can't afford. Of course, flexibility. Flexibility to be able to estimate any type of projects. We've got so many different users out there using our software, from commercial to industrial to specialty contractors to modular building contractors that we just heard about from Gary. Complete control, be able to review, modify, make quick changes, have audit trails, understand what you changed, where you changed them, be able to understand bid leveling. How do we make sure that we're looking at subcontractors accurately across each other? And of course, last but not least is collaboration. We want to make sure that we're collaborative and be able to have multiple peoples working in one estimate at the same time. Another customer came to us and said, you know, we give a lot of credit, and this is an interesting quote, because this doesn't focus on necessarily the efficiency of this thing. What it does is it actually focuses on the professionalism and the quality of our estimates, and he attributes that to the Sage Estimating. So it's just not a productivity tool. There's a confidence when someone sees a Sage estimate being presented to them. Second piece we want to talk about is eTakeoff Dimension. This is an integrated digital takeoff solution out there. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's got tools in it that will the power of takeoff in this digital tool is absolutely second to none. And it really takes advantage of two types of AI technologies. We always talk about AI and so forth. Well, it's got two types of AI in that. Number one, it takes advantage of what is called Toggle AI. Toggle AI is an automated takeoff tool that within 98% accuracy that goes in and measures all the spaces on a particular drawing. It gathers the lengths, it takes off the wall segments, it lets you review and color code your different spaces and so forth. Very, very, very powerful tool to really save you time in your takeoff. And then of course there's a second type of AI called Snap AI. That happens when you have lines that are sitting all over drawings. Right now we have to manually kind of take our mouse and make sure that we're lined up with those. Well, Snap AI snaps to those lines automatically, reducing errors and also making sure that your lines and your areas are completely accurate. All of this will save you more than 50% of your time just over a manual takeoff process. If you are taking dimensions and then manually putting them into your spreadsheets, you're spending time on your estimating that you can't afford. And we understand that time is of the essence with estimating. I always say that estimating is a little bit backwards. We spend more time on what I call the grunt work and less time on the analysis. And our goal is to spend less time on the grunt work and more time on the analysis, because that's what they hired you for. They hired you for your analysis capabilities on this thing. It's a strategy game. And so we leverage those, as we talked about, we leverage those industry-leading AI tools for that fully automated and integrated takeoff. We identify highlights. And another one that's really interesting is a lot of systems out there take your PDF files, which is what we're getting a lot of out these days, and it works with those native PDF drawings rather than having to convert them to TIFFs and back and forth and so forth. This is very, very important when you're looking for a takeoff system out there. Another one of our customers, like I said, we can tell you all of these wonderful things, but listen to what our customers are saying. Our customers say that an estimate that used to take them 4 hours can now take them 20 minutes to complete within Sage Estimating. We always say it's a 50% savings. Well, that's a little bit more than 50%. So that's pretty incredible. So let's talk about the last piece, BidMatrix, the bid analysis application. What is it? Well, really, it is a collaborative bid room environment for negotiated hard bids. It doesn't matter which one you're doing, where the whole team, doesn't matter where they are, multiple locations, where they can be there, they can have update a master estimate real time. It analyzes whole, partial, and discounted subcontractor quotes and does a full-on analysis of that. So that's really what it does. And the three real key focuses on this thing that we want to really focus on today is to look at how do we take advantage of bid history. There's bid history out there that we want to be able to take advantage of. And oftentimes we have estimates that are sitting in like islands of them out there that are just sitting out there. And how do we take all of those little estimate files and put them into something that we can really mine and report across? The other one is some AI anomaly detection. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And of course, last but not least is the optimal subcontractor selection as well. Nice spelling error there, my apologies. So let's talk about the value of cost history in analytics. Informed decision-making, this allows us to get in there and really understand what our data is telling us, okay? We often started talking about making decisions. We want to make data-driven decisions. We don't want to make anecdotal decisions. We want to have some data that gives us there. Being able to use your cost history gives you that capability inside of that. And of course, improved efficiency and cost reduction, it's going to give you that information so that you can make decisions faster, more efficiently, and so forth. And it should increase profitability. If you have history in there, you should be able to mine that history, look at where you're making money, where you're losing money, how can I be more efficient on there? And of course, it's a competitive advantage out there as well. So we utilizing these products, we utilize the ability to take each one of those projects, and instead of having them as little islands of information, we put them in one big list of database for us. We let you normalize that data with work breakdowns across projects. We can analyze them accurately and have some meaning to those analysis in there. We give you the ability to attribute projects, tag them with different information so that we're only looking at projects that make sense. We're not looking at a commercial project against an institutional project or an institutional project against a hospitality, whatever it might be. We let you look at those so that you can actually have pertinent information looking across those different segments. And then some projects, as we're looking at this thing for anomalies and so forth, some projects we may look at and say they shouldn't contribute to looking at our cost history. Maybe it was an anomaly. Maybe it was something that we had really bad weather in and the project just went long. Well, it's an anomaly. We don't necessarily want to have that in there. And so what we've done is we've tried to address all this thing. We've created a reportable database of projects stored in the cloud. That's really what BidMatrix is. Whether you're using Sage Estimating and you're taking all those Sage estimates into the cloud, you can use that as a reportable database in the cloud. We can create projects with shared work breakdown structures. And the nice thing about the project attributes is we let you have guardrails. So for instance, instead of just filling out text inside of each one of those, we can have drop-down lists to make sure that there's data integrity, that you're using the same values across that. And then of course, we let you publish projects so that we can say these specific published projects are ones that will contribute to your analytics. And best of all is there's no need for a third-party product to get this cross-product reporting. A lot of people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars looking for tools outside of their estimating process just to be able to consolidate all that information and report on that. To give you a couple ideas of that, I'm going to pull up a couple things from our reporting database. Here's one that for instance, this is a simple cross-segment analysis. I can come inside of here and say, I've got all these different market segments. And by the way, these are market segments that were attributed in the BidMatrix product. And these projects, if I want to come over here and say, I want to look at only corporate projects that are bids during a certain time frame, we can drag and drop those things with certain regions, whatever it is. I can see a list of all those projects down here. And not only do I see that, but I can now see what my average unit price are. Here's a minimum, here's my average, and here's the maximum across those. So anytime you want to look at that, this is great for conceptual estimating. This is great for a customer-facing dashboard where you can go to a customer and say, here's our approximate cost. This is based upon our project history, and you can share that with them. Another example of this would be if I wanted to look at certain market segments and say, I'm looking at my hard bid and I'm looking at my bid price versus what was awarded. Where am I losing money on my corporate? Where am I losing more money, institutional, technology, and kind of track across all these things where I might want to be more efficient and so forth. All of this is made possible by having that reportable, centralized database. Another thing that happens inside of this one, we're talking to certain subcontractors out here as well, is that they may have negotiated bids inside of here. So I can come here and see, I have the ability to copy these projects, and I may have one here, Sunset Medical Center at 60%. I can see what the numbers happened at 80%, and of course on the final leg of this thing, and I can look at the comparisons as to how this progressed over different milestones in my particular project. And because sometimes we have bigger companies out there that look at projects, I can look at a cross subcontractor. Sometimes we have 6 or 7 estimators out there, and we don't realize that we're looking at the same subcontractor for multiple aspects of work. So here's a situation where I'm looking at my data and I see that Charter Mechanical out here has bid all of these different projects out here, okay? I can see right now that the project values that I've got them selected in all of my bids are about $15.5 million. I've already selected them to be awarded. They bid this much. I've selected them to be awarded $7.9 million, but I've got a problem. If I give them all of that work, their bond limit is only $8 million. So based upon that, we're going to have a problem if we do that because we're going to be liable for that. So this is some of the things with having a centralized database, having the ability to kind of look over all of these different projects and look at this thing. We have the ability to mine that data and create that. And that's something that you might want to give to your estimators, might give to your executive team, might give to your VP of development, whatever it is. Those are tools that are great for them to do analysis on there. And we know that right at this point that we get a lot of people asking us for reporting information. This is one of the things that they love about the BidMatrix product is the capability of doing that. All right, so back to this again. So once again, just a couple things. You know, we talk about the efficiencies of this thing and so forth. Let's talk to maybe or listen to what a customer said in here. It says we've cut the cost of involved in generating complex estimates by over 50%. Right? This is why we do what we do, and we have testimony after testimony of people doing this. So this is just kind of an introduction to what Sage Estimating is, and I'm going to dive in a little bit into the anomaly detection and how we utilize some AI capabilities in the application. I'm going to pull up at this point BidMatrix. Now, BidMatrix, this is a 100% cloud-based. This is the foundation for Sage Estimating going forward. This is 100% cloud-based. And this is the screen as you come in here. This is a list of all the different projects that I have on the go right now. Okay? These are a list of my projects. And just to kind of give you an idea, when I click on one of these projects, it gives me a little pop-out window that comes over from the right-hand side. This is just summary information on this. And this summary information kind of tells me, here's the name of the project, here's the location of the project, maybe the size, the bid date. If there's a client, maybe some notes about this. We also have the ability to come up here and under the details, we have the ability to attribute this. We have the ability to tag that. We talked about the guardrails. You can create these lists. So instead of you typing something in, we can just pick from lists and so forth. Same thing with regions and so forth. We have yes or no questions. What's the anticipated start date? This list of attributes is 100% up to you. This is blank, very simple to set these up. This took me less than 20 minutes to set these up. It's very easy for you to do. We talked about collaboration and the ability to make this multi-user. I can make this one public so that anyone in my company, public does not mean anybody outside of the company. It just means anyone who has a license of BidMatrix can get into it. I can make this private and only selectively have it with me or a selection of particular users inside of my estimating team. Okay, and then they would only be able to see that across theirs. Now the insights portion of this thing, I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new project because I want to talk about what one of the things that we're really focusing on. I'm going to go and create a new project, and I'll go inside of here and say that this is going to be for this webinar. put this location in here as, we'll say that this is Portland, Oregon. It's important on the location because what we're going to do is we're going to do some anomaly detection, but we're also going to index this thing. We're going to talk about indexing by locations. We'll say that this is going to be 13,000 square feet, and we'll say that the bid date is going to be today. The rest of this we don't have to put in here if we don't want to. This is like a project setup wizard. I can hit the next button inside of here. This is where I can market segment this thing. I can go in and say, oh, this is going to be corporate. What region is this going to be? It's going to be in the Northwest. Does it have a parking structure, yes or no? And I can answer these questions based on the way I want to, based on how I'm attributing this job. I can also create this using a template. If I wanted to have a template job, I could use a template job, or I can run this from scratch. I can use a stage estimate inside of this thing. I can use an Excel spreadsheet. There's all kinds of different ways for me to create the content that goes inside of this thing. The next screen is when we want to make this either public or private. We'll leave this one as public inside of here. This is where we start really having some power in our history, because now what happens is, based upon the fact that I said this is a market segment of corporate, it came up here and said, I found 10 similar projects to this. And if you want to see that, you can actually come up here and see exactly what 10 projects they are. It looks across all my portfolio and says, those are the 10 projects that are out there that are like this one. Now I can go back here and say, I really want to add another condition. 10 is too many. I want to add one more condition, and I want to choose another field. Once again, you can choose any one of those attributes to do it. I'm going to go down here and say, I want to find anything with a size that is within maybe 10,000 feet. So let's say we're going to make this 10,000 feet, 10,000 square feet. Okay. When I add that, it comes up and it says, I found 4 similar. So now I'm down to 4 similar projects in here. Once again, you can hide, whoops, let's show the details on this thing. You can look at this list and see exactly what it is. If for some reason you look at this and say, oh boy, this one really shouldn't contribute to this, I can remove it, or I can come back over here and say, I might want to look at all my other projects, and this one I do want to add in there. So I have the control to really come in here and fine tune all of those and create that information. Now I could create that project. I've got one already set up over here. I'm going to go to this one called similar project. And once again, if I go into the similar projects on the insights, I've kind of done the same thing, except for I built up some things. I've got 4 projects sitting inside of here. I'm going to go into this particular project. Now this project happened to come directly from a Sage estimate. Like I said, we could have pulled this in from an Excel spreadsheet. We could have built it up from scratch. We could have used a template, whatever it is, but this is now the detail inside of here. And I've got a detailed estimate sitting over here with all of my detail under this thing, with all my productivities. I can come in here. This is a multi-user spreadsheet where I can make changes across all my estimates, or all of my estimators, any changes that you want. Now this project is a brand new estimate. I've done nothing at all with this at all, nothing at all. I'm going to go into the HVAC. And these are what, by the way, this is what we call our bid packages. This is where we're going to go out. If we're if we're a general contractor and we're subcontracting, this is the process that you're going to go through. And so I've set up my bid packages out here, and I can kind of look underneath this thing and say, concrete, I have 1 phase underneath that. I can also come down here and say metals. I might want to get costs from my subcontractors in a little bit different, maybe more detail inside of this thing. But each one of these has a cost associated with them. And this is kind of the detail that I'm going to collect data from my subcontractor. So when I set out an invitation to bid, and I look at something like HVAC, I want to get a number from all my subcontractors, and I want them to break it down by fire sprinklers, plumbing, HVAC equipment, HVAC ductwork, and HVAC controls. Now what happens in here now is I'm going to go into this. I haven't done anything with this. I'm going to click on this HVAC, and when I come into this, you'll see that I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 subcontractors already in here. I didn't select those. This is AI looking across all my bid history and saying, I found these subcontractors out here, and these subcontractors out here bid this project at least 3 times or more, and bid these phases at least 3 times or 4. I'm assuming that you're going to use them again. Now we can go in here, we can delete this. We can add more if we want to. We can change these, whatever you want to do. The nice thing about this though, is when I look at Cook's Mechanical and I look at this 46, this is my budget. All of these are my budgets over here. This information is coming directly from either my Excel spreadsheet or I put it in here manually. But you'll also see little numbers down below each one of these. I've got 46,000, it's in gray, and hopefully it's easy for you to see. But I can see that I got 46,774. What does that represent? When I click on Cook's Mechanical, a little graph comes up down here on the bottom. And it says down there on the bottom, it says, I have got all of these different projects that Cook's Mechanical has bid over the last how many years? I don't know. Lots of different years that they've done this. And what happens is that it's looking at this thing and saying, I'm going to extrapolate this out, and based upon the way that these guys bid, you should get a number pretty close to $46,774. That's what based on their bidding history. This is AI going and looking and mining your data and coming up here and saying, these are the numbers. Now, do I have to use that number? Absolutely not. But it is a guideline for me. Now, a lot of people will sit there and say, because I look at these little dots, and these little dots represent every bid that they actually put in the system. So I look at this thing, I can see that this is Gregory Peck Foundation. That project was back in 2022. So what do we do in that situation? Because 2022 dollars don't pertain to what we do now. Well, underneath here, we've introduced a thing called libraries, and we have all of these capabilities of putting in cost indexes in there. You can use RS means cost indexes, you could use ENR cost indexes. We automatically let you load up CPI regional and CPI all. We monitor these every single night, make sure that they're updated and so forth. If you as a company have your own indexes, we can put those indexes in there as well. So all of these indexes applied. So when I go back over to the project side of this thing, we'll go back into that project and look at that. And I go into that. Let's go look at Cook's one more time. I look at this particular one right here. If I look at this, if I come up here and click on the show cost breakdown, you'll see that I've got a CPI regional index on there. It is taking that number and it is bumping it up by 24.6% to make sure that that is relative out there. All right, so what's the value of this? What happens if I come inside of here and I put let's put $25,000 into this one, and I click on this thing, down here on the bottom, it's giving me some insight into that. It says you were expecting a price of $46,000. You got one for $25,000, 46% below what you really should. Now, why is that valuable? Because that is your insight. We had a contractor that was said, if I would have had this, it would have saved me a lot of headaches. Had some junior estimator out there entering data into the system, and the drywall contractor came in 35% below what they should have. And instead of really digging into that, then what happens is that we go in here and they accepted the number, and come to find out the drywall contractor had left all of the drywall out on the 3rd floor. So now the general contractor has to figure out, do we sue them? Do we let them off? What do we do? What do we deal with this? How do we deal with this? And it just becomes a headache, and they're going to have to figure out how to make that up and so forth. This is your anomaly detection. It gives you the ability to get out here and kind of see what's going on and gives you some clues inside of it. So for instance, if this were the case, and maybe we forgot something, we get on the phone. This is information about these. These are live numbers over here. And click on this thing, it'll dial the number. Let's call up Jasper and say, let's look at your scope. And if they come back and they say, yes, we did forget scope, this is some of the options we have inside of here as well. If I come up here to fire sprinklers, I can see some scope items that I've built into this thing. I may go inside of here and say, yeah, they actually forgot the tank. So I'm gonna hit the minus button. I'm gonna put the budget that I had figured in there, and I'm gonna level that bid out of there. So all of this anomaly detection gives you, by the way, AI should never get in your way. This is not saying anything about you having to use that number. All it's saying is this is what you should expect. Now, should you come to one of these subcontractors and say, I didn't get a number, I may want to use that, I can click on this little button and say, go ahead and use that insight number. So it gives me the capability to use that number and so forth, okay? So all of this anomaly detection is being tracked inside of this thing for us, and we can look at all this information, see what it is, level the bid, and so forth. So as we start putting numbers in here, there's another thing that's happening in here. Even as we're looking at these anomaly detections and so forth, as I look at numbers inside of this, I may come inside of here and say, hey, these guys gave us a lump sum number. Now this is where BidMatrix really kind of comes in here and says, you know, maybe they give me some, you know, some numbers in here of 42,000, you know, whatever it might be. Notice as I'm putting numbers in that, it's automatically turning the number green. The reason why it's turning that number green is because that's the lowest possible number in that across all of my subcontractors. It's automatically telling you what your lowest possible combination is across all of these things. That's what BidMatrix does for you, but it also is tracking all your anomalies inside of here. This one, if it's less than 15%, it'll be yellow. If it's less than 10%, it's green. If it's more than 25%, it's red. We kind of put those parameters inside of there. Okay, so quick thing on this as well. And by the way, we could take you through a whole lot more information inside of here, but this is just the beginning, okay? This information is just the beginning because this is where we're going with all of the AI and the machine learning inside of here. Because when I'm sitting in this estimating spreadsheet over here, and I'm sitting inside of a number over here, and I look at this and I say, hey, this unit price is such and such a unit price. This is going to be prevalent throughout the whole system. If I put in a unit price and all of a sudden the system comes up and says, you realize that that's 20% lower than what you've ever done before. Boy, that's powerful information inside of there. I didn't realize that was that low. Talk about some great guidelines for some junior estimators or even senior estimators who may put something in by accident and so forth. And when we start going into the takeoff, this is where we're going with this thing, because this is just the beginning where we're going with all of our AI. We will go in here, and as we're entering items into the spreadsheet, not only will it go look into our library or our database, but it will actually go inside of here, and it will come back to all of those like projects and say, oh, by the way, just to let you know, this is how you bid those last projects. And by the way, this is the lowest possible price, right? This is the lowest price you'd use across this. This is your average price. And of course, this now is your maximum price on this thing. So here's your ranges of all your different prices there. What would you like to use? Once again, not trying to get in the way of you, but just trying to give you guidance, trying to give you that bid history, trying to give you all that information in there. So based upon that, let's go back over here because I want to go back into this and just say, this, once again, is just the beginning. We talk about the fact that we have gone from Sage mini computers, we've gone to Sage estimating the DOS, and then we have gone to the Windows version. Now we're going to the cloud-based estimating software. Our plans are we are going to have a estimating MVP out probably by March, April timeframe. So you're going to start seeing some very, very concerted estimating tools that are coming your way with some great AI machine learning, really focused spreadsheet capabilities, just the same thing that we looked at in all of those examples earlier on with the efficiencies and the accuracy and so forth. Our goal is to take this to the next level, and we will do that. And like I said, it's not our first rodeo, and we will continue to do this. One thing I want to make sure is that if you have any questions or suggestions as a Sage user, I'd love to hear it from you. Love to hear questions from you guys on, you can contact me, ask questions about the Sage Estimating Desktop and the Sage Estimating, our path forward and so forth. Love to hear from you. And so I guess with that, quick and sweet and to the point, any questions out there? Did we get any questions out there, Jackie?
We did, but first of all, thank you so much, David. I mean, that was just such an insightful session. And we have a lot of interest and questions surrounding the BidMatrix portion, which you've gave us a lot of real good, real job examples of. And I think like some of the information that gets pulled through BidMatrix, it answers some of the questions when it comes to the level of insight it generates as well. So to jump onto the questions, so the first question is, I am a Sage Estimating customer. How do I get access to BidMatrix?
Very, very good question. There are, if you are a Sage Estimating Desktop customer, there is a path for you to go that you can have BidMatrix. And by the way, just to let you know, Sage Estimating and BidMatrix integrate together, so they work in tandem with each other. Sage Estimate can be pulled directly into BidMatrix, as we kind of talked about. There are two offerings out there. There's a Sage Estimating Standard and there's a Sage Estimating Premium. It is a subscription. So if you're on a service plan that's not a subscription, you should probably check with your account manager and find out how you can get on a subscription. You will automatically get BidMatrix with that subscription. And by getting BidMatrix, and just so you understand this, if you get BidMatrix on this thing, you will start seeing all of that functionality that we talked about, the new estimating functionality, the new takeoff functionality. All that functionality will be coming to that product, and it's no extra charge. You're just going to start seeing it added to that. And once again, this is our future web-based estimating product, but talk to your account manager. They can get you set up with BidMatrix.
Thanks for that. The second question, again, still on BidMatrix. Can BidMatrix be integrated with ETHOSystems?
It absolutely can. It integrates with Building Connected. It integrates with SmartBid, and it integrates with the Procore invitation to bid products. So it absolutely can.
That's great to hear. Next question is, how many data entry / information do you have to provide to make BidMatrix work?
How much data and information? Boy, BidMatrix, let me just say this, that we have some people that will buy BidMatrix on a Monday and they're using it by Thursday. So it's very much different than setting up a whole database in Sage Estimating. If you're using Sage Estimating, all of that data can be brought over into BidMatrix, so there's no data entry really over there. There are some things that you're going to want to do in BidMatrix. You want to set up some attributes and so forth. It's really minimal. I tell you what, I'd love to get you in front of one of our Aaron Wagman and have him kind of show you what it is, because the data entry to get BidMatrix set up and using is actually quite minimal. We made it that way.
That's great to hear. Next question is, can we organize the data in such a way that allows us to base production rates on unit per man hour? We primarily use this measure for self-performed work.
Yeah, all your self-perform work, actually on the estimate spreadsheet itself, and one of the things I didn't show you, the columns over there are all production. There is productivities out there, and that is actually absolutely feeding all the rates out there. So yes, it is production rates. You can do units, man hours per cubic yard, hours per cubic yard, hours per cubic meter, metric, whatever you want to do. Absolutely, you can use productivities in there to generate your costs.
So this next one is a follow-up question to the last. Is there a way to create a master list of activities for a certain bid item that less experienced estimators on our team can import to the phase codes so they don't forget activities?
Absolutely, and that's one of those things with that template, because what we do is we actually create a template that has all of the bid codes already in there. And then at that point, if they want to delete some, they can, but you can start with an actual template with all of the activities so that they don't forget anything. It's all built up inside of there. You can also take a previous project and use that as the starting point going forward as well. So a couple different options on that.
That's great. And I might actually know the answer to the next one as well. So the question here is, can previous spreadsheets be imported into BidMatrix? Are there formatting requirements for the spreadsheet? I think that's a pretty solid yes when it comes to the import function, but I'll let you answer it in full.
Absolutely, you can import that in there. And if you're talking about Sage Estimating, what we did is we used there's an SDK with the Sage Estimating desktop. We created a little conduit that actually takes and directly reads your estimates from Sage Estimating into BidMatrix and takes it into the cloud for you. It's a pretty cool little tool. If you do have an Excel spreadsheet that you're talking about that, there is a little bit of a format on there. We're looking for certain columns on there. We don't care what order they're in. We have the ability to map to the columns, and we can pull the data in via that way as well. But any old spreadsheets inside of that, absolutely we can pull that into BidMatrix.
That's great to hear. Next question is, our bid day is chaotic. how does the AI interface help us make decisions in real time when we are receiving dozens of last-minute subcontractor quotes?
Yeah, I think the key to this whole thing is really, as we're doing this, you're getting subcontractor quotes. You know, a lot of times people are looking at, they're doing the best guess that they can. As we're entering in those subcontractor quotes in there, it's automatically picking the lowest possible combination across all of those bids. So when you put a number in there, that's the second you put a number in there, it knows if that's the low bid or if it's not the low bid. It gives you that insight absolutely instantaneously. Doesn't require you to use it, but it does give you that feedback instantaneously in there. And if you had a listing of 5 different subcontractors out there with 5 different phases and so forth, there are times where you're going to sit there and say, I might use 2 of those guys, but most of the time you're going to use 1. We can say use 1, use 2, use 5. We give you all of those things at a fingertip, and it's instantaneous. So instead of you having to do a bit of guesswork on this stuff and saying, I think these guys are low, we'll track that instantaneously for you, and we'll track it across a base bid and all your alternates. So yeah, we have people that will never bid another job, and I'll just say something else on here. This is absolutely the truth. We have asked several key customers if they would be a case study for us, and they've obviously said no. And the reason why they say no is they don't want their competitors knowing they're using this product. It's that competitive for them.
That's a great response. Now, David, I think following up to that, there was a question regarding if there is a subcontractor that has a more complete scope and is not the low bidder. Does the estimate force you to pick the low bid, or is there an interface for selecting certain suppliers and subcontractors?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, here's another thing. Sometimes when you supplement it, I'll give you two scenarios. I'll give you both ends of the spectrum on that one. Number one, if you have a subcontractor, and maybe you look at the scope, and maybe it's not even that they're the lowest bid, but maybe you know that there's something that they've spec'd completely different than someone else. You know it's going to be key. I can go up there and say, I'm going to require the use of that whole subcontractor, or I may just say I want to require just one of those numbers. On the inverse side of this, there are some times where you look at a subcontractor, you know their number is so low, or you've had to level their bid so much that they're too risky for you. You can actually go and say, exclude them from all the analysis as well. So not only can we require and have the ability to require someone, we have the ability to exclude them. So this might come back and say, AI should never get in your way. All of this automatic recommendations should never get in the way of you making the decisions that you have to make for your business. We never take the human interface out of the estimating process.
Great response. This next question is, how does BidMatrix handle cost data from Sage estimates, which are based on worldwide locations?
Cost data based upon worldwide locations. Oh, are you talking about a multi-currency per se or so forth? At this point, Sage estimating is single currency. We're single currency at this point. In the future, we'll be multi-currency. But if you are looking at cost indexes based upon worldwide numbers and so forth, those cost indexes are 100% user definable. If you want to create your own cost indexes in there that reflect that, and say that we have, some of our projects going to be in Canada versus some's in Mexico versus, something coming from the United States, those cost indexes can absolutely play into that, and you can apply those to your particular bids. I'm hoping I'm answering that question right based upon the way I understood it.
No, David, I think, for someone who works on projects or have projects in various worldwide locations, I think that's exactly what we're looking to resolve. So thank you so much for that. Now, this next question, actually, I love this one because one thing that really left an impression on me is the customer quote surrounding how they were able to use the estimating function to take a 2-hour job down to 30 minutes. So really, where are users seeing the biggest lift? Is it in the time savings creating the estimate, or really in the reduction of the left money on the table post-bid?
It's actually both, and I think you can't separate either one of those things. You should be able, like I said, you should be able to get take what I call it the grunt work. I call it the stuff where we have to sit there and grind to get those numbers out of there. We should be able to automate a lot of that grunt work and then really get and do your time savings, but then get into the real analysis of this thing, because bidding is a strategy. It's not just something that you go out there and say, I'm just going to submit a number in there. You have to look at who my competitors are, who am I bidding against, who's got lots of work on their books. Are these guys going to come in and try to buy a job? Are they going to try to do, it's a strategies game. And so this time savings itself allows us to get in to do the analysis so that we can actually have better profitability as well. Now, the other part about this too is just if you look at even just the function of bid analysis, if I can sit there and know what my lowest, even if I'm doing negotiated bids, it doesn't matter. Hard bids and negotiated bids, if you're subcontracting things out, the process is exactly the same. It's just you don't have the time constraint on the negotiated bids. And so if I can get into a negotiated bid and find out who my lowest possible subcontractors are, but with confidence, I might be able to increase my margins by, I've heard people say they've increased their margins by, 1% just by being able to make sure that I've got my lowest possible subcontractors in there. So I say that the time savings gives me the ability to analyze and get better profitability.
That's amazing. Now, I think this next question really does resonate well with a lot of our existing customers. So for a firm that's currently using manual spreadsheets or older versions of Sage estimating, what does the migration path look like to get our historic data AI ready?
Well, one thing that you will want to do, here's what we talk about doing, especially if you want to get some of these projects over into BidMatrix so that you can start doing these reporting and so forth. Don't go take every single one of your estimates over. You could if you wanted to, absolutely could. But we kind of recommend that you take 10, 15, maybe 20 of those estimates that are really, really good estimates that you can use as baselines and take those over into BidMatrix. Make sure that they've got a common coding structure inside of those so you can analyze across those things. But don't get so caught up in saying I have 100 estimates, I want to take all of them over. Have a starting point. Take 10 or 15 really good ones, bring them across there, use those for your bid history and start from there.
That's great. More questions to come. David, you've been super popular this session, so a few more, hopefully, before we wrap up the session. Does this software have the ability to scan a PDF drawing to generate a takeoff?
The takeoff does, absolutely. Takeoff does have the ability to scan. That's what we do with the AI portion of this thing. We actually take and scan that whole drawing, and it is a PDF drawing. We scan that, and we do come back and give you a full takeoff down to 98% accuracy of all of the items on that particular PDF.
Excellent. Thanks for clarifying that. Now, next question is there an area where you differentiate direct versus indirect costs? Things such as travel time, G&A costs, permit, bonding, where are those costs housed?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, yeah, there is a markup. And part of the thing is that we were focusing on a lot of the AI functionality in here. We didn't go through a full presentation of BidMatrix. Would love to do that for you. There is full markup capabilities that can handle direct cost, bonding, unlimited steps on bonds, different things like that, bottom line markups, lump sums. You can allocate them across everywhere that you want on the estimates. That's part of Sage estimating as well as BidMatrix, but absolutely that's available in the product. And if you want to deep dive into BidMatrix, we'd love to get you in contact with either your account manager or Aaron Wegman, and to get down to that detail, because yeah, that's all of that functionality is built into the product.
I definitely do sense there's a lot of interest for sure when it comes to learning more about this. So we do have a survey that will launch post-session. So if you do have additional questions, or if you want us to get in touch with you through your account managers, by all means, please do let us know, whether it be through the survey or in the survey link listed in the follow-up email also. Now, final question for you, because I am quite excited about the capabilities of what all of this represent, but what's next? So beyond detection, what is the next frontier for Sage's AI?
Yeah, I think the Sage AI is. I think we talked a little bit about it in there that we're going to really start looking across this, not just across subcontractor quotes, but in detailed estimating as well. We're going to start getting into maybe some predictive analysis on labor and things like that, where we can really mine some of the industry trends and so forth, and try to present that to you so that you can actually use some of that information in your estimating processes.
Lots more to come.
Lots more to come. Stay tuned. Keep your eyes on this thing. We're moving. It's 4th generation. We're excited about it. You know, it's very interesting. Just like Gary Clifford said, I enjoyed all the updates when they went from DOS to Windows. Where we're going from Windows, we're going to go to the web, and you're going to see some things that we get to recreate. We get to kind of do some new things. We're pretty excited about it, and so if you have an opportunity to jump into BidMatrix, jump into it now, and you're going to start seeing some great changes coming.
I think, David, you showed your contact or email contact earlier when it comes to inviting customers who have a great success stories, or if they just want to like pick your brain a little bit more. There you go. But you know what? For anyone else who has more questions surrounding potential integrations, pricing, or even just really how does all of this solution integrate with your current workflow, by all means, reach out to us. Let us know how we can maybe get you in touch with your account manager, fill out the survey, and we'll get that process started for you. So thank you, David, for all your valuable insights, and thank you to all of our Sage customers for joining today. Like I said earlier, if you are curious to learn more, we encourage you to reach out to your account manager. And the recording of today's session will also be emailed to you shortly, along with the short survey where we would love to hear your feedback. With that, this concludes today's session. We hope you find it valuable, and we look forward to connecting with you soon. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.